Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. What is going on, guys? Hope you're well out there. Going to take a look at the Tigers today. Starting to get through these previews. If you got any requests on what you'd like to see in the content throughout February, where we really just branch out and just do whatever the hell we want, feel free to let me know. Shorty's on TikTok now. If it's not your cup of tea, then that's okay as well. But I am putting out a bit of content, a bit shorter, a bit sharper, obviously, with TikTok. So if you want to get around that, feel free. Shorty SuperCoach, look it up. I think I've probably put a link in the description. If not, there's a video about it on the channel. But saw something pretty random the other day. I was just delivering for Coles. I only got one more shift today or one more shift forever, I should say. I had a shift today, this morning, 6 a.m. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm not going to miss those at all. But yeah, it was Wednesday. Had a shift, just Arvo shift, and yeah, I was just driving by, and I saw something that I hadn't seen for a long, long time. Hitchhiker, just some bloke. Just don't see it often these days. I don't know. It just struck me. I was like, that is rare. That is random as these days. Tell me, have you seen a hitchhiker recently, or even better, have you picked one up? Because look, I half thought about it, but then I thought, oh mate, you're working, like, yeah, it's just weird. What are you doing? But I don't know. I'll tell you what, Mum and Dad always used to be like, never pick them up. You never know who they are. It's like, whoa, Mum and Dad judging hard. But you know, I don't know. I'd be very interested to hear whether anyone's picked up a hitchhiker, because I feel like when I was a bit younger, you'd see him, but I saw him the other day. I was like, wow, haven't seen that for a while. Anyway, hope the fella got home okay, or wherever he wanted to go. Let's dive into the Tigers. Now, this one's probably one of the more interesting ones for the reason of these two recruits that the Tigers have got, and that's Taranto and Hopper. Both really strong chances for your team and strong chances for my team. Not too much in the way of positional stuff, but look, let's dive straight into it, because I think Taranto is one of the most interesting selections that you could have a look at this year, and he's priced reasonably well because he averaged 91.4 last year, and way back in 2019, 102, and we probably thought then, yeah, this bloke's here to stay, going to average 100 plus, high 90s for the rest of his career. Wasn't quite to be. Just 11 games in 2020, poor average. 97 in 2021, bounced back a bit, but last year was indifferent for the Giants and for Taranto. His midfield numbers wavered at times, whether he was in the centre bounce or they seemed to have a bit of a love affair with him as a forward. I don't see that happening at Richmond at all. Going to take a look at some centre bounce action and percentages and all that good stuff. But for me, Taranto's a lock. I have him in my side. I think it's that perfect mix of new club, getting that opportunity. You know, the baton's being passed from Edwards, Lambert, Cochin, Martin sort of deal. I think it's all there for Taranto to just be the guy he's always wanted to be. Just the inside mid, tackling. All right, he's not the greatest kick. He can hack it sometimes, but I think he's going to score some really good numbers. Well, to see his centre bounce, we got to go to the Giants, don't we? Switch on, Shorty. All right. Taranto. So look at this. Some below 40%. There are definitely some stints where he didn't get much at all, particularly in the second half of the year. If we contrast that to, say, 21, where he averaged 97, much better numbers here. You see there's not too many early days where he was below 50, really. He was above most of it. And then there was those experiments later in the year with him as a forward, which at times he did kick goals, which kind of just, you know, saw him become that mid-forward type. But I hate it, to be honest. They say he's strong and got forward craft. I don't really see it. I just think he's an inside mid. Like, I just think he had a couple of good games where he kicked some goals. Great. I don't see him as a forward at all. He's got no aerial presence and he's not that quick. Get him inside. Midfield, baby. There will be people that have a bit of PTSD with Taranto. He let us down last year. He let me down shockingly. But I'm happy to move on. I'm happy to say, look, Tim, we've had a rough patch, mate, but I'm a forgiving man. I'm going to give you a chance, and I think he's a good mix between value and premium output, and he is currently in my team. Speaking of my team, I'll just jump into it momentarily just to check what Hopper's price is. I think he's between 300 and 320. As always, I'd love to know if you're starting some of these guys I talk about. Made a couple of changes to the team, but look, let's not get carried away with teams just yet. There's so long to go. But it's fun to play around. 332. So that brings me over to Hopper. And look, as you saw, he wasn't in my team, but he's a good pre-season away from finding himself in the team. I mean, I think, given he's fit, he's a lock for 90 plus, probably 95 plus. And there's no reason that he can't have a career best year. I mean, last year was a shocker for him. He was injured, came in, never quite found his best footy. But at his best, he's just consistent mid-20s disposal winner, high in the clearance department, high in the tackle department, and a contested ball winner. So let's just have a look at some numbers. And, you know, he does that grunt work so well. Him and Taranto are relatively similar players, but look, great clearance numbers, particularly in 2021 and 2019. As you can see, contested ball numbers high as well. He basically splits it 50-50. 2019 he won more inside pill than outside pill. So, look, the only thing I'll say, 330 in the midfield, it's a smidgen awkward, but we've got a lot of trades now. I don't think we have to be as worried about, what are their purpose in terms of their selection. I think, if he gets a full pre-season, he's going to give you 90 minimum, I reckon. And then you just, look, if he starts to have a couple of quiet weeks, or he's just going to average 93 for the year, and you're like, he's been good, he's made his way to 480 or 510, whatever it is, awesome, see you later, upgrade, piece of cake. It's a real simple selection, and one that I'll probably play around with, but just for the moment, I just want to see him get some consistent footy. So let's see what the preseason brings. But I think Taranto and Hopper, they have to be high on your watch list and a really good chance to be some of the more popular players in the game. I think Richmond are going to be playing good footy again. And I think a lot of that will be built off this new look midfield, which will be built around these two recruits. Another man that we'll all be wondering, can he get back to his best footy? Dustin Martin. Look, off the top, he's not for me. He hurt me last year. I thought he could return to his best, and he may well return to some really good footy, but I just don't see any need to bring him in. He got injured halfway through a game when he was on, he was fucking flying. He was on 92, in that round 16 game against the Eagles. I thought, finally, Martin's been killing me for weeks now, but finally my random Dustin Martin inclusion is going to pay off. Nope, 92.5. I'm done. That just was no good. But the thing with Dusty is the bloke just doesn't tackle. I mean, I know he had some tackles here, 5 and 6, but I'll look up the overall career numbers. He's not a big tackler. I think his contested possession rate has gone down a lot. I'll check that in a minute, but that's my gut feel. I think he's more of the polish now rather than the Brownlow medalist involved in everything. I think the involved in everything will be Taranto and Hopper. I think Martin will play mid and forward. If he's at his best, he'll have a great year and he'll have impact, but I don't see any need to take a risk on a guy who had an injury-affected year last year. He's over 31 now. And to add to that is we've got a plethora of options in the forward line. Taranto, Butters, Rosie, Dunkley. I've probably missed a couple. Blokes that are coming into their prime. Not to mention going back to Shorty got a bit carried away there. We broke the 10-minute mark, but we're back. So Dustin Martin, he's been a superstar. I don't see any need for us to reach back and grab him at what is an okay price for Dustin Martin at his best, but I don't see him getting to his best again. Let's check those numbers in terms of contested ball and tackles. Look, I reckon they've definitely gone down, and he's just not a big believer in in tackling these days, I don't think. I mean, we won't see the tackle numbers on this one, but contested possession, look, it's actually not that bad. I probably thought it would be worse. Let's have a look at the tackling. Yeah, tackling, never been something that Dusty's prided himself on, but he's probably gone from a Dusty at his best, 3 to 4 tackles per game, to now probably 1.5. And I think that's via his position. I think he's an impact player. He's in the centre bounce, then he's charging forward. The Dustin Martin role. We've heard so much about that from David King and Joey Montagna. I just don't see him as an nuts and bolts guy, your meat and veg guy in the centre bounce all the time, following the stoppage around the ground. I think he's high impact, goals, effective kicks. He'll have his games where he tears it apart, but I'm happy to pass on Dustin Martin. I don't see him getting back to his absolute best. And let's face it, he's never been an amazing SuperCoach premium option. He had that 1 year where he was outstanding, one of the best years we'll ever see. But other than that, he's never gone 110 aside from that, which is really interesting. It's really interesting. So there's no need. It's been 4 years since he's averaged over 101. There's no need for us to reach for him now. As much as you Tiger fans want to pick him, you just got to calm down now. So I reckon it's a tick for Taranto. It's such a close tick on Hopper. Watch it closely. It's a cross for Martin. And I just want to spend a quick minute on Tyler Sonsie. I know you're thinking, Shorty, what are you doing, bro? Just wind the video up. But I think this kid is going to be a star, and it might not be this year. In fact, I probably doubt it'll be this year. But I reckon one day, when you just see a snippet or two from a player and you go, interesting, I reckon they can play. I reckon Tyler Sonsie can seriously play. And I think there was one game that I really was just like, yeah, okay. It might have been this one against the Lions. He just looks clean. He looks like he finds the ball pretty easy. When you're like, gee, you're young and you're going to be fitter, you're going to be bigger, but you just find the ball. It's footy smart. So I just want to say, put Tyler Sonsie on your futures radar. If you're in a keeper league or something and you got a late pick, I reckon Tyler Sonsie is going to be a very, very good player one day. And that's a wrap. That is a wrap again for today. That is the Tigers. Very interesting prospect this year, the Tigs, just from a footy point of view and a SuperCoach point of view. So plenty in it for us. But yeah, would love to hear your thoughts. Comment away as always. It's always great to hear from you. I'll get back to your comments throughout the week. I try to get back to them as soon as I can. Pump them out, 3-4 videos, respond, bang, get back to you over the weekend. But yeah, we'll chat soon. Cheers.